In this unit, we're looking at schools as organizations. And before I get into the specifics of Chapter 5, I think it's important to talk about bureaucracy. To most people, bureaucracy is a bad word. And I'm not saying that it's either bad or good here. Bureaucracy simply is. So let's talk about what we know about bureaucracies. The sociological understanding of bureaucracies starts with Max Weber. And Weber taught us to think about how any bureaucracy comes into being. So think about it this way. Suppose you and a few students get together to form some kind of club. Say, a club for movie buffs. At first, it's just a few of you, so it's easy to just decide amongst yourselves what you'll do, what movies you'll watch, when you'll meet, who will be responsible for bringing refreshments, etc. But your club is really cool, and so other people start asking to join. You want to share the joy of movies with everyone, so you bring people in. Before you know it, you've got 50 members in your club, and it's more difficult to organize meetings now to decide on movies, etc., so you start doling out roles and responsibilities. Maybe some to individuals and others to committees, a refreshment committee, a location committee that will decide which theaters you will all visit to review movies. Then, in the process of visiting movie theaters, you discover that CU Boulder and Colorado State also have movie clubs, and it might be fun to meet with them from time to time. But you need representation at these meetings, so you have to elect a president who can represent UC Denver's interests at these larger meetings. And you need a vice president in case the president dies. And you need a secretary who is responsible for recording the meeting minutes so that folks who are unable to attend the meetings can read about them. Meanwhile, your own UC Denver club has grown to over 200 members with committees devoted to developing club bylaws, representatives to the UC Denver Student Senate, and still the monthly club activities like which movies to review. Your club president, in the meantime, has made connections with other movie clubs all around the state of Colorado. Suddenly, your club is just one of 100 around the state, and there is a Colorado Assembly of movie buff clubs which has its own president to which your president reports. You can probably see where this is going. As organizations, any organization, gets larger and larger, it is practically inevitable that a bureaucracy will form. It has to. It's the only way to deal with large numbers of individuals working towards shared goals. You can try to dismantle a bureaucracy, but as Weber shows us, no matter what you do, the bureaucracy will always come back if the organization continues to serve the goals of large numbers of people. In fact, bureaucracy is so inevitable that Weber termed it the iron cage. He said we were all destined to live within this iron cage of bureaucracy because human beings don't have any other way to organize themselves in large groups. It's a little depressing, I know. Education works in much the same way. It is a social institution that serves very large numbers of individuals and has bureaucracy all through it as the only rational, that's Weber's term, rational, fashion for organizing and meeting the goals of the individuals. Now, when you get into Chapter 5, you're going to see that the first several pages talk about these goals. There are societal and community goals for education, there are schools and school systems goals for education, and there are individual goals for education. And as you'll read, these goals are not always in alignment with each other. Instead, goals are constantly being negotiated. For example, between societies, saying that every student should have to take 12 years of math, and individuals perhaps saying that 8 years of math is enough for some students, and they should then be able to make their own decisions about what they need to learn. It's a constant trade-off. You'll also read about the hierarchical system of authority, and take a look at Figure 5.3, which shows authority stemming from the school board through the superintendent to principals, to teachers, to students, with lots of other layers in between. One thing that a lot of parents and students learn as they go through schooling is how to negotiate the bureaucracy of schools. For example, a child gets a bad grade in reading that the parents think is unfair. The expected path is for the parent first to talk to the teacher, and then if they don't get results, go to the principal and on up the chain of command. But some parents don't know that this is what is expected of them, and so the first thing they'll do is call the superintendent's office to complain about the teacher. The superintendent's office will immediately refer them back to the teacher, and what that parent is doing is learning to negotiate the bureaucracy. Interestingly, and possibly not surprising to you at this point in the course, middle and upper class parents are far more adept at negotiating the bureaucracy than parents from the working and lower classes. And typically, this has to do with the fact that middle and upper class parents spent more time in the school system themselves, as did their parents, and so they've been taught how to negotiate the bureaucracy even from when they were just students in the mix. Lastly, let me just add that you'll want to be sure to cover the section on centralized versus decentralized decision making. A lot of politics and public policy to think about in that section. See you online.